17,300 feet over England. Breakfast service on a holiday flight to Malaga. In the cockpit, the captain loosens his shoulder harness. They're almost at cruise. And then the windscreen beside him simply leaves. No crack, no warning. One bang, and the glass is gone, and so is he, pulled out of his seat, head first, into the sky. His legs catch on the controls. A flight attendant grabs his belt. For the next 20 minutes, that grip is all that holds Captain Tim Lancaster to the airplane. June 10th, 1990. British Airways Flight 5390, Birmingham to Malaga. 87 people aboard a BAC One-Eleven. 27 hours earlier, this airplane had passed through maintenance. A routine job. Replace a windscreen. 90 bolts hold that panel to the airframe. 84 of the ones that went in were the wrong size, by 2/3 of a millimetre. This is the story of how a difference you cannot see with the naked eye nearly took a man's life, and how 5 people in a crippled cockpit refused to let it. The night shift, Birmingham. The shift maintenance manager, a senior, experienced engineer, takes on the windscreen replacement himself. The aircraft is due out in the morning, time is short, the job is routine, and the procedure that should govern every bolt sits in documentation he never opens. He works like for like, match the new parts to the old ones, by eye. In the stores, he holds an old bolt up and picks its twin from the bin, by sight, in poor light. The bolt he chooses, an A211-8C, looks identical to the one the aircraft needs, the 8D. It is narrower by 0.66 millimetres, the thickness of a pencil line. He fits 84 of them. The last 6 are a different mistake. Right thickness, too short by 2.5. 90 bolts, 90 wrong. No one checks. Not because someone skipped a signature, because the system doesn't require one. He is the shift manager. He inspects his own work, certifies his own work, releases the aircraft. Safety critical maintenance, one pair of eyes, the same pair that picked the bolts. Here is the detail that turns an error into an accident. On the One-Eleven, the windscreen mounts from the outside of the fuselage. Every time the cabin pressurizes, the air inside pushes the panel outward, away from its frame. The bolts don't just position that windscreen, they are the only thing holding it on. A design where pressure seats the panel would have forgiven every one of those 90 bolts. This one forgave nothing. Departure is normal. The One-Eleven climbs. With every 1,000 feet, the gap between cabin pressure and thin outside air widens, and the load on 90 undersized bolts grows. At 17,300 feet, over the town of Didcot, the arithmetic completes itself. The panel tears away, explosive decompression. The cockpit becomes a hurricane, charts, headsets, anything loose, gone through the hole. And the captain, harness loosened for cruise, goes with it, out of his seat, out of the window frame, pinned by the slipstream against the top of the fuselage. His knees, hooked on the control column, are the only part of him still inside. Nigel Ogden, a flight attendant, is in the cockpit within seconds. He seizes the captain's belt and does not let go. The first officer, Alistair Aitchison, takes the airplane, emergency descent, mayday, and the flying of his life, with a gale through the cockpit and the autopilot's help gone. Understand what the crew believed in those minutes. A man outside an airliner at that speed and that cold. They did not think they were saving him. They thought they were holding a body. They held anyway, because letting go could send him into the tail and kill everyone aboard. Two more crew members lock onto his legs as Ogden's arms give out. Frostbite is setting into the captain's face. They hold. Aitchison brings the 111 down toward Southampton, fast, heavy with fuel, on a runway shorter than he'd like, talking to controllers who can barely hear him over the wind. 22 minutes after the windscreen failed, the wheels touch. The airplane stops. 86 people walk off. And the 87th, the man who rode outside at 17,000 feet, is alive. Frostbite, a broken arm, a broken wrist, a broken thumb. Alive. The investigation, AAIB Report 1 of 1992, traced the chain with uncomfortable clarity. A safety-critical job done from memory instead of the manual, bolts matched by eye in bad light, a design that made those bolts the last line of defense, and a system that let the same man do the work, inspect the work, and sign the work. The point of failure was not one engineer's eyesight, it was a system with no second pair of eyes. The fixes were almost embarrassingly simple. Independent verification for safety-critical tasks, eyesight standards for engineers, and a question every maintenance organization now asks: who checks the person who checks? Nigel Ogden paid for those 20 minutes, his arms, his shoulder, and years later, his peace of mind. The first officer and the cabin crew were decorated for it, and Tim Lancaster, the man they held on to, was back in a cockpit in under 5 months. He flew for another 18 years.